The woodland habitat here at Oxford Island is another great place to see the birds. These birds that live in this habitat we call them the woodland birds, and they're very different from the water birds. They all have small feet for perching onto the twigs of the trees and the branches, and small beaks for eating seeds and berries. And if we listen carefully, we'll be able to hear them in the trees above us. At this time of the year, they are scouring the treetops looking for seeds and berries. Visitors to Oxford Island have been putting out bird seed over the last couple of winters, so the birds are quite used to coming down and feeding either from people's hands or from seed left on some of the tree posts. Woodland birds will call to each other because they can't see each other as easily in the treetops. So the birds all have different calls, different distinctive calls that they would use either in the breeding season to communicate with another of their same species, and some of them have warning calls as well, so that they can warn each other whenever there's danger.
So I'm out in the woodland and I'm going to go look for some mini beasts. Mini beasts are the tiny creatures such as spiders and worms and snails and beetles that we find in places like under logs or under flower pots or anywhere dark and damp really. This is where they like to hide. So today we're going to have a look around the woodland floor, and to get a better look at them I'm going to use this little bug box. Now you can use things like yogurt pots or pot noodle pots if you want for handiness. And what we do is, because we need to be really careful with these tiny creatures not to harm them, so what we do is use a paintbrush, just an old paintbrush that you have lying around, and when we find one we just lightly brush them in to our little pot, and then we can get a good look at them. So we're going to have a look underneath this log and see what we can find. Let's see. Oh, I see some woodlouse. A woodlouse here, yeah. Oh, and this creature is a harvestman, and it looks like a spider. It's closely related, but it's not actually a spider. It has 8 legs as well, but they actually can't make webs. They don't produce the silk that spiders do to make their webs. So I found a really big millipede here, and it's kind of like a centipede, but you can tell the difference by looking at their legs. So the millipede's legs, as you can kind of see, are underneath its body. They go more downwards than the centipedes. The centipedes will stick out to the sides and are more flat. And it has many legs, and this helps it to move along, and they can actually move backwards and forwards. So you can see the centipede's flat legs that are sticking out either side of its body. And centipedes have only 1 pair of legs per body segment. And you can see at the front, at their heads, they have 2 antennae sticking out, and they use this to feel the world around them. So another creature that we've found is a woodlouse. And these guys, they might seem like little insects, but they're actually not. They're more closely related to crabs and lobsters than they are to insects. They also are related to the water louse that we spotted in the pond earlier. And they have 7 pairs of legs, so that's 14 in total. And they have these segments all along their body, and this helps them to bend and move. They are one of nature's great recyclers. So they eat dead things, they eat dead wood and dead leaves. So it's really helpful for our environment. Woodlice are really easy to find. So if you go into your garden, check under some logs or leaves, or even some flower pots, and you'll hopefully find some woodlice there.
I've just turned over this log in the woodland here, and it's very soft and very mushy. And underneath it I have found 2 slugs. The slugs like to hide under logs during the daytime. Slugs are nocturnal and they're much more active at night. They like to hide away during the day. They want to stay away from the sun. They don't want to dry up, and they'll stay away from predators too. During the daytime, birds would be in hunt of food, just like a nice big juicy slug. So by staying at home during the day, then they're keeping themselves safe. On this piece of wood, we can see some of the trails as well that the slugs have left behind. And slug trail is always a continuous shiny line on the ground. Slugs and snails, they'll both eat plants, but a lot of them do feed on algae, slimy green plant that you find growing on logs and leaves and even on the patio. They are very important also as nature's recyclers because they're helping to eat the dead leaves, and in this case some of the dead wood, and they're helping to put the nutrients back into the ground for other plants to use in years to come. We've had lots of fun looking for the mini beasts in the woodland today, and we did find lots and lots of different species. We were able to find the snails and the slugs. We found the harvestman, found the woodlouse, the millipede and the centipede. So it tells us that this is a really healthy habitat. These creatures are all very important in the woodland, and they provide many links in the food chain. Some of the creatures are eaten by others, and some of the larger mini beasts are predators themselves and will feed on some of the smaller creatures. Birds will also feed on some of the invertebrates and mini beasts, and even badgers and hedgehogs will come and feed on slugs and earthworms and beetles.